So I ran into something kind of interesting the other day that kind of confirmed my suspicions about the fate of a certain character on the show, and I thought it'd be really cool to share. Check this out. So for those of you that aren't aware of this site called Walking Dead Wiki, it's just like any other wiki. It's a huge database of Walking Dead, from the TV show to the comics to the video games, the mobile apps, everything in there. So I was scrolling through and looking at some upcoming episodes when I came across the later one in the season, up here towards the end, episode 7, so right before the mid-season finale, called Open Your Eyes. The synopsis is, or the plot is, Carol pushes the boundaries that make Daryl uneasy. Alpha and Beta have reservations about someone. And this is from their officially released on Showcase, their officially released episode plots. And when I scrolled over and to someone, it comes up as Negan. So this is, to me, really cool for somebody that's a huge fan of the comics. This means that Negan not only does escape or is let out or something, but he actually goes to the Whispers and infiltrates them just like he does in the comics. So there's a couple other things in these plots that kind of point towards this theory, and now I'll go into how it happens in the comics. So obviously this is going to have a lot of spoilers, so if you don't want anything potentially ruined, even though nothing of this is confirmed, if you don't want anything potentially ruined, you should probably stop watching here and go check out some of my other videos, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. So let's get into it. So the other part of this episode is Carol pushes the boundaries that makes Daryl uneasy. Well, in the comics, it's Michonne and Aaron. Once Negan escapes, they go after him and they have to cross into Whisper territory. So this could possibly indicate that someone is indeed Negan and he escapes, and Carol and Daryl are the ones that have to go after him. And Carol says we need to go further and further in to look for him, and that makes Daryl uneasy. We already know that Daryl does not want a conflict. He does not want to cross in there and start a fight. But Carol, she wants something to happen. She wants Whispers to be taken out.
Bitch has to die.
So these two kind of line up with each other to support that theory that what happens to Alpha in the comics is going to happen in the show. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So if we go to the previous episode, plot, Carol and Daryl go on a mission together while Sadiq struggles to solve a mystery. So I'll skip over the whole Sadiq thing and focus on Carol and Daryl go on a mission together. That mission could be, like I just said, Negan escapes, so they find he's gone, and they go on a mission to find him. And then that would lead up to the next episode where Carol pushes the boundaries to look for him. Going back even further, we see more evidence and breadcrumbs that this is going to happen, especially right here. Negan is idolized by an Alexandrian. Ezekiel holds a secret. Well, the trailer already kind of said what the secret was. Ezekiel and Michonne are going to have an affair of some sort, or they at least kissed. That secret could either be an affair or them kissing or something, and they don't want Carol to find out. So that's not important. But what is important is right here. Negan is idolized by an Alexandrian. Brandon. For those of you that didn't catch it, Brandon was the guard when Negan was out picking tomatoes in the season opener.
Negan, get back to work.
So why is this important though? So in the comics, so this is Brandon. He's the one that was watching Negan as he was picking tomatoes, and he was kind of standing guard on him. But in the comics, his counterpart, Brandon Rose, is the one that lets Negan out of his cell. He's mad at Rick, and he blames Rick for the death of his parents. His mom in the comics was Tammy Rose. Tammy Rose was one of Alpha's victims. Tammy Rose Sutton in the show was also one of Alpha's victims. So we have all these kind of little breadcrumbs showing us that even though a lot of stuff has changed from the comics to the show, this is probably going to be a huge plot point that they take and they use for it. And this is, I'm predicting this is going to be how the first half of season 10 ends. So check this out. Here's how I think it's going to go down. So next week we have Silence the Whisperers, and I'll make a whole video about what kind of happens in the comics in comparison with the show with that. But we have some evidence that the Alexandrians are going to take their fear out on Negan. And this could set up for either Negan to get fed up with how people are acting and just take off on his own, escape, or conspire with someone to let him out so he can go and stop the Whisperers himself. Because he's an outcast. If he gets caught, if anything happens, nobody's going to give a crap. They don't care if he lives or dies. But if he can take out the Whisperers and Alpha and disband them, he'll come back a hero, because then the Whisperers will be no more and all the Alexandrians will finally forgive him and say, there's our hero that we needed, and so forth. And it kind of lines up in a really interesting way that we have one episode where they're talking about how everyone's taking their fear out on Negan. Then we have the next episode where Negan is idolized by an Alexandrian who, if this is true, is Brandon, who happens to be the same character that lets him out of his cell in the comics, who happens to be the son of one of Alpha's victims, who happens to have the same character in the show, while not Brandon's mother, but also is one of Alpha's victims. It all kind of lines up in a really interesting way. And especially even more so when they talk about Carol and Daryl going on a mission together, the two of them, and we have two people after Negan escapes go out on a mission together. And then we talk about on the next episode, Open Your Eyes, where Alpha and Beta have reservations about someone, potentially a new person into the herd. And according to this, if it's true, that someone is Negan, who happens to also go and find the Whisperers in the comics and is pursued by two people, Michonne and Aaron, or in the show, Carol and Daryl. All right. And then it ends up with, or the mid-season finale ends with Alexandrians set out on a high-stakes mission. And if this all is playing out how I think it's going to play out, and I just laid out just a second ago, that high-stakes mission is going to be to rescue Carol and Daryl. And there are some hints of that in the trailer, I believe, but I'd have to go back and check. But I think that high-stakes mission would be for them to cross into the territory, go deep into Whisperland to save Carol and Daryl. So why is this all important? Well, in the comics, like I said, it's Brandon who releases Negan from his cell. He blames Rick for the death of his parents and wants to make him pay. His mother, Tammy, as mentioned, was one of Alpha's victims. His father, a man named Morton, attacked Rick for what happened to his wife, and Rick in turn killed him by biting the jugular out of his throat. Once Brandon found out that it was Rick who killed his dad, he attacks him in a very similar manner, but is subdued by Rick, and told that if he steps out of line again, Rick will kill him. So he's got a lot of animosity towards Rick, and he wants to see him die. He's also got a lot of animosity towards the Whisperer since they killed his mom. He wants nothing more than the two groups to fight each other and wipe each other out. At this point in the comics, it's when Rick forms the militia to train to fight the Whisperers. His plan is to wipe them out when the militia is fully trained and ready, before the Whisperers can attack again. Brandon goes to his cell and wants Negan to take him to the Whisperers camp so he can inform them of Rick's plan. Since they're both responsible for his parents' death, like I said, he wants nothing more than to see the groups kill each other. Things don't exactly work out though, and Negan does go along at first, but he has his own plans in mind. He runs into Beta, who reluctantly agrees to take him to meet Alpha. Negan spends a few days there and eventually charms his way in with Alpha. It's after he gets close enough to her that he reveals his true motive and decapitates her. Back in Alexandria, it's discovered quickly that Negan has escaped. While Negan's hanging out with his new friends, Rick sends Michonne and Aaron to track him down. They cross into Whisperer territory where they're eventually ambushed by Beta. He gets the upper hand on them, and just when things are looking grim, Dwight shows up out of nowhere and saves them. It's not mentioned in the comics how Dwight knew they were in trouble, so it can be assumed his group was either following the duo or went on a rescue mission once they'd both been gone for too long. So like I mentioned, Negan's ultimate goal with the whole infiltrating the Whisperers and trying to get in their good graces and get close to Alpha is he just wants to get close enough to her so he can kill her. He wants to cut the head off the snake, if you will. He thinks that by killing Alpha, the Whisperers will disperse and they won't know what to do without their leader. They'll go away. Rick, Alexandria, Hilltop Kingdom, they'll all be safe and he'll be hailed as a hero in a sense. Now, things would not be this would not be The Walking Dead if things went according to plan. And in later issue, this actually inadvertently kicks off a much worse war than what would have happened if things would just stay the same. But it does open up a lot of story for Rick and Negan to kind of be friends. So that's really cool in that regards as well. So I'll leave things here for now. I think AMC is taking this major plot point from the comics with Negan killing Alpha. It's pretty obvious that that's the way they're going. If I had to surmise how the rest of the episodes are going to play out, I would say that Alexandrian's turn on Negan, that he's going to feel like his life is endangered and he has to do something because nobody else is doing anything. He's either going to escape or he's going to be let out. He's going to infiltrate the Whisperers. Carol and Daryl are going to find out he's gone, but he's not supposed to be. So they're going to go after him to try to stop him. They're going to find out it's either going to be that Negan conspired with someone to put this plan into place and Carol and Daryl say, that's a dumb idea, we got to go stop him. Or he gets out on his own and comes up with this and they see he's gone and they go after him. Either way, I really think that Negan is going to escape and he's going to go after the Whisperers, and Carol and Daryl are going to go and try to stop him. And this is going to kick off the second half of season 10, which is going to be called the Whisperer War, where not Alpha, but Beta, in revenge for Alpha, unleashes the horde of tens of thousands of walkers onto the communities. And it's a really cool fight in the comics, and I can't wait to see how it plays out in this show. But I'll leave that here for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you think that I am way off on my predictions, or if you think that this is going to be spot on and you can't wait to see this play out either. Until next time.